might be calling in like he did last time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't he ask Mark for that phone number last time?
I ended up having to get a new laptop. The other one just wasn't.
Yes.
Let's do it.
One last question though, there's a way to reach out to Mike to see if he's gonna call in before we get too far into the meeting. Because he's on, but I'm not sure he's with us.
Katie, will you maybe post the call-in number for him or send him a chat on this, a Zoom chat with the
I'd just like to get him up front before he gets too far into the meeting and
Yeah, I don't see a response right away, so.
I'll call this meeting to order. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Brown Act as currently in effect under the State Emergency Services Act, the Governor's emergency declaration related to the COVID-19, and also under the Governor's Executive Order N29-20, which was effective on March 17th, 2020, which allows attendance by members of a planning commission or city staff and public to participate in teleconference, video conference, and both. So at this time too, for the public, if they want to make comments in this meeting prior to the meeting, please email your comments to kschmidt, that's SCHMIDT, at ci.fortuna.ca.us. Actually, that needed to be done by noon today. But we will limit you to 30 minutes or 3 minutes of comments. You need to give your name and where you're from when you do this as well. And at this time, I guess we will do the flag salute. Ready, everyone? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Katie, would you mind doing a roll call?
All right, Commissioner Blakely,
Here.
Commissioner Bradley, or excuse me, Vice Chair Bradley, it'll take me a moment.
Yeah, acclamation.
Commissioner Hallie,
Here.
Commissioner Seitz,
Here.
and Commissioner Wells. And I don't think Commissioner Wells is able to participate.
Can we acknowledge that he's present but unable to contact like we did last time?
Yeah.
At this time, I'm open to discussion and approval of our minutes from our last meeting on November 9th, 2021.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
I second.
It's not open to the public. We're doing remote meetings.
Oh, it's all me, all Zoom. Okay.
Yeah.
You okay over there, Katie?
Yes.
So we've had a motion and a second. Did you catch who that second was?
No, I did not.
It was
Can
Mark.
can we do the minutes over again, please?
Go ahead, Sandy.
Oh, I make a motion, we accept the minutes from the last meeting as read.
And I second, Mark Seitz seconds.
All right, roll call vote. Commissioner Blakely,
Yes,
Commissioner Bradley, or Vice Chair Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Howie,
Yes.
and Commissioner Seitz.
Yes,
Okay, at this time, we have oral comments that can be heard from the public. Members of the public may be heard on any item of interest that's not on our agenda this evening. Any speakers addressing the commission will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. And be advised that by law, the commission is not allowed to deliberate or take any action on issues presented during the oral comments. Katie, would you be willing to flash our information on the screen? Thank you. Katie, do I need to read that off, or is it good enough to be posted?
I think it's enough for it to be posted.
Thank you. Any call-ins yet? You're muted.
No, we did have some folks that I think want to participate. I'm hoping they'll be able to call in, follow the instructions once the business item is open.
Okay.
hey, question, I don't know if this is the right time, but did you have people in person that essentially wanted to participate in the meeting there at City Hall, Katie?
yes,
Yes,
So I know we're having this meeting over Zoom and it's not, I know we didn't plan for it, but are those people going to be able to call in?
they should be able to call in. If they have the agenda and they know the agenda item is up, then they would have the information on how to participate. City Hall is not open after hours to the public. So we're not doing in-person meetings. None of the commissions or councils are doing in-person meetings. So we're not having people in our space right now.
Sure, but just to be clear, we have people wanting to engage in the civic process, and the fact that we're doing this electronically is presenting an obstacle to those people. Is that correct?
There's no way of knowing that.
Okay,
The agenda is posted electronically. We email it out. It's on the website. If they have access to that, I would assume they would have access to participate electronically.
Yeah, we're not set up for them to participate, even if they did come in, but we're just not, we don't have a way for them to, participate in the meeting itself. We'll make sure that the city manager knows that happened, that people came to participate or.
yeah, I'd hate to shut somebody out if they don't have a smartphone or, some way.
Can I make a point of?
We do ask for folks if they need assistance to participate. It's listed on the agenda, every agenda. If they need assistance to participate, to let us know ahead of time and we can work something out. So we do have extra laptops. We could set somebody up if they let us know ahead of time. But coming into City Hall after hours into the conference chamber is not
Yeah,
the
I
way to
understand.
do it.
Yeah.
Can I
Perfect.
make a point of clarity, Katie? When we send out the notifications, do we not also put in the notifications how they can participate via Zoom?
Yes, correct. It's in the agenda and it's also posted on the website.
So if those individuals that showed up were a part of those that were notified, they would know that from what they read that they had to participate by Zoom.
Yes.
Thank you.
And also by writing, so they may submit written comments as well. That's on the agenda.
And they can call in, even if they don't have a smartphone, they can still call into this number and be heard audibly. Is that correct?
Yes, they could use a payphone if necessary. Or they could use a landline. They could use any phone.
Well, haven't you had any phone calls yet, Katie?
No.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll
submit
make a,
Go ahead, Stephanie.
I was going to make a motion to close public comment.
I'll second.
Katie, do we need a roll call or just move on from here?
We do not.
Okay, so we can just move on to the agenda. Correct? Then I'll move on to our point of business tonight, which is for the public hearing to consider Ecology Eel River Transfer Station's conditional use permit for the approval of the use permit for the condition, which is attached with resolution P-2021-3074. At this time, Liz, does the staff have any report regarding the matter of Ecology's request for this conditional use permit?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Bradley. I do have a presentation, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on the screen and describe the proposed, the request. Let's see. And then we'll be turning it back to you after that to ask questions. Okay, so yeah, Recology of Eel River is currently operating in the city under conditional use permit 96-35 that was approved in 1996 by the city for a solid waste transfer station. And under that use permit, they were approved to operate or to receive 60 tons per day of municipal solid waste. And over the years, they have recently exceeded that amount and are receiving up to 99.9 tons per day. So the Humboldt County Environmental Health Department is the permit issuing agency. They're the designated by the state as the local enforcement agency for solid waste facilities. So they did recently approve that amount under their, I think it's a regulation permit. So in order to bring the city's use permit into conformance with the counties, the county did work with the city and notified us and, you know, gave us all of their information and did direct Recology, you know, that they would need to be in conformance with the city's use permit. So we've been working with them over about the past year, city manager, city engineer, other city staff in order to have that use permit updated and brought to you tonight. So the facility is shown on the overhead. Actually, this is just kind of a preliminary. But you can see this is Riverwalk Drive, which is south of, it's on this over Highway 101 at 12th Street. And then if you're familiar with like Tractor Supply store is across the street. And you can see the facility here. Strong's Creek runs on the north and I'm sorry, the north and northeast. And then there's Highway 101. So the public enters, the main entrance is on the south end of the facility, and you can see the office and the recycling center and the tipping station. And I will actually have a better site plan shortly. This is just the larger area. So you can see further to the east is the old mill site. On the west side, we've got Mercer Fraser and this city wastewater treatment plant is further to the north. Eel River Transfer or Transportation and Salvage is just to the west. And then the old Went contractor buildings are there to the west, northwest. Tractor Supply storage facilities on the south. There's a single family home it's sort of historic. It's an older home that's been there forever. And then another older home on the west side. Other than that, you can see it's sort of industrial use to the north, retail, vacant land, the Eel River to the west, and then some other sort of heavier types of commercial uses to the south. And then further south is the sort of hotel restaurant complex. This is the site plan of how it operates currently. So it is a 6.7 acres parcel. So this is a little bit more of a close-up. You can see the south entrance, the office, and there are now 2 scales. As part of this process, the use permit review process, through consultation with the city, and the city's main concern with the way the facility operated, and that the sort of over time the increase in waste that was received there had to do with the cars backing up onto Eel River Drive as they were getting ready. They're waiting to enter and make it through the single scale that was there, and then at that time cars would drive straight in and then back out. Back out and then go back out through that same driveway. So that was the concern. Recology did have a traffic study prepared that showed, with the addition of a second scale, that given the number of cars that were queuing there, and the length to the first scale, that if they had a second scale, so previously that one scale would be shared with the entering vehicles and the exiting vehicles, so they'd have to take turns. So with the second scale, now it's just the entering vehicles that use that first scale, and then the exiting vehicles use the second scale. And so the traffic study did demonstrate that would be feasible to take care of the queue that was on Riverwalk Drive, and in fact, that is what's happened. So they went ahead and implemented that right away. And it's been demonstrated that that's been really effective. And the other thing that they did was modify the circulation of that whole process. So instead of going in and out of the bay doors on the west side, now cars drive around in a like a circle or a one-way circle. So there's really no crossover, as cars used to jockey to get back onto that one scale, and now it's a really smooth process. So that's been taken care of, and that was just again part of the discussion that was initiated. It's already been done, and that I know that the city manager, the city, the public is really pleased with that. So that's the transfer station, and you can see, the site plan really just shows all of the supporting activities. So there's truck parking, storage areas, additional truck parking. There's the truck wash area that does have an oil water interceptor that separates out the oils before the discharge goes into the city storm drain and ultimately into the Eel River. There's a north entrance, which I believe the trucks use that entrance so that they're not going through the regular residential area, and the repair shop, and then the baler, and then the recycling center. And then the zoning is commercial thoroughfare, which is all of the area in pink. And the general plan is Riverwalk District, and then the surrounding areas include public facility and zoning to the north. That's the wastewater treatment plant. General plan is industrial. So you can see there's, appropriate zoning for sort of the heavier industrial areas and light industrial in the CT zone. And then to the west is it's actually freeway commercial zoning. It says Riverwalk RD, Riverwalk District. That's actually the general plan designation. So there's a little bit of an overlap. This is the sort of more retail and visitor serving area, but definitely the north end of Riverwalk Drive and Dinsmore Drive here is heavier industrial type of activity that's really been taking place there, over many decades in Fortuna. And there are no changes to the zoning or the general plan land use. Again, this use permit was issued in 1996, and it's still in effect as long as the, that facility is operating there. And that the use permit actually brings them into conformance with the zoning and gives them the appropriate land use permit. So the types of permits that they are operating under: Fortuna Conditional Use Permit 96-35, and then Humboldt County registration permit, and the facility plan that is in your staff report is a part of that registration permit. So in order to get that permit, they prepare the facility plan. That's the detailed description of, hopefully you had a chance to glance at that. It is a detailed description of their operations. And then the state requirements for landfills. So that, it's a very detailed document, and the county enforces that through monthly inspections. And then the city receives a copy of that. So it's a way that we have oversight, to when we have the certainty that, there's sort of a higher level, not a higher level, maybe a level of oversight and enforcement. And then also, that they're demonstrating how they're complying with not just the city's use permit, but, the more, the stricter state requirements. And there is a condition of approval in the city's use permit that requires them to be in conformance with that county permit. So, if anything ever happened and there was a severe violation that the county wasn't able to resolve, the city has, the means to withdraw the use permit until they were brought back into compliance. But honestly, the monthly permits by the county, that we receive are, generally they're very good and show that the facility does, do their due diligence to maintain and, fulfill all of the requirements. So the revised conditional use permit, of course, that's in your packet. I don't want to go over, unless you have any questions, absolutely bring those up on any particular conditions. But I just called out, the categories of things that are covered under the use permit. This is kind of somewhat of a long list. This is almost the last condition or the slide, so I'll just go over them really quickly. They are required to get a building permit if they do any, structural or any other types of activities that require one. They are required to be in compliance with the facility plan. We have an enforcement condition that lays out the, the fines and the process for enforcement. There's a noise condition. Oh, I do want to point out that most of these are in the existing. So we took the original use permit and used that as the base. We did clean it up. We cleaned up some of the language to make it maybe more clear or more relevant to today's, city policies. And, for the most part, we make all of these conditions are, based on the original use permit. And we did add, I'll describe that shortly, the tonnage increase and then some paving requirements. So otherwise, the noise level is 65 decibels at the property line or the nearest residence, but it is based on the general plan decibel levels for daytime residential decibels. Lighting be directed downward and not into the sky or not onto neighboring properties. The property is landscaped. From Riverwalk, you can see that it's very heavily landscaped and screened quite well. Stormwater requirements so that they're not discharging, any harmful effluents into the storm drain system. The paving condition so the city manager and the Public Works Department were concerned about the cracked paving in front of Recology. So they did negotiate and agree that Recology would reimburse the city. The city does have a plan to, in the CIP to pave Riverwalk Drive. So they're just going to go ahead and do that as one project, and then Recology will reimburse the city. I think it's up to $5,000. And the extent of paving is 60 feet along the frontage and 12 feet in width. So that would be, one travel lane, which would, compensate for, really it's the heavy trucks that enter the facility that's doing the, wearing the road out in that area. Hours of operation haven't changed in the use permit. I think it's 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or it varies during the week and then on the weekend. Maximum daily tonnage of 99.9 tons, and I think that's the maximum that the state allows for a medium-sized land transfer station. Anything above that would require a higher level of permit to be issued by the county. So, and that is right now, this is the need that Recology has to accommodate the materials that they take. So that seems to be working. And then maintaining the site. Truck travel is that trucks use the north, or the trucks are directed north to Dinsmore Drive and 101 instead of south through that more visitor serving area, and that aren't putting unnecessary truck traffic on the hotel restaurant area. That the trucks are washed, there's pest control and maintenance. And so the county registration permit has really similar, you can see types of conditions. I think they're, they're based on state code, but they're inspecting for really similar types of things. So we feel, the city has inspection ability as well, but as long as we're receiving those monthly reports from the county, that's giving us a lot of confidence that the issues are being addressed. And then of course, they have additional standards that are imposed, treatment of medical waste and identifying hazardous materials that aren't accepted there, and how to deal with waste, hazardous or medical waste that does accidentally get dropped off. So they have strict measures for protecting staff, protecting the public, and training of their staff and enforcement. So if you have any questions about any of the conditions, this is just really a summary of the conditions. And again, I described this. The main changes to these permit are the tonnage and the street paving condition. So with that, I will pass it back to the Vice Chairman and the Planning Commission.
Anyone have any questions of Liz at this time or comments?
I do not.
And I didn't introduce them, but of course, you talked to them before the meeting. Nick Colley from Recology and Linda Weiss, the General Manager of Recology, Eel River.
I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Do we have, were we able to get Mike back on here yet at all? Do you know?
I can see his name up, but I did not receive a response to the message.
Okay, I just didn't want to have him be excluded, so I just wanted to make sure that he knew that we were thinking of him. Well, at this time, I think I'll open this up to public comment, and I'll have Katie post that information where they can call in. And when you do call in, folks, I would appreciate it that you would start out by stating your name before you begin your comments or questions to the commission or to the parties involved that are petitioning for this permit. And I have a suspicion, Katie, that based on what you had drop in by, you will have some people calling in. While we're waiting, Katie, I have a quick question I didn't ask before. How many notifications were sent out regarding tonight's meeting for those that might be impacted by this?
So we did mail them out to a radius of 300 feet. That's in our municipal code. There are a lot of, those parcels are larger, than say in a residential area. So they're by number, there weren't as many. They did go to the 2 residences there and the surrounding businesses that you saw on the overhead. We did post the notice in the Time Standard. And all of this is 10 days prior to the meeting, by code. And we posted it on the city website. And I believe Katie posted at the library and at the River Lodge. Katie, do you remember the number?
It wasn't large just because of the large parcel size. So it was 7-ish for this one, but it was the standard 300 feet. There really aren't any residences within that area.
I suspected as much, but I just wanted to know for the record.
Yeah, all of the adjoining property owners received, we mailed them notice. And anyone within that 300-foot radius.
Now, based on my screen, is Mark still with us?
Mark?
Yes, I'm still alive.
Oh, there we are. I didn't see you on there. Katie, do we have any phone calls yet? You're on mute.
We do not.
Should we wait a little bit longer based on your presentation that was behind you earlier?
I think it would be fair to give them some time.
Okay. Well, maybe while we're waiting for some phone calls, I do have a question. I know we heard about the $5,000 reimbursement for the concrete work and everything. Is when we do this increase in tonnage, does that mean we're going to have a higher volume of larger truck vehicles going through? And I guess in part, my question is leading into what's going to be the impact with regards to our infrastructure with the roads there? Because I know based on traffic, there could be more wear and tear in a faster amount of time based on the traffic flow.
My understanding is that we already have up to 99.9 tons often daily. Is that correct?
Yeah, Linda, do you want to comment on the tonnage that's being received now?
Right. I would say that over the last year or 18 months, it's gotten close to that 99.9%, 99.9 tons, maybe less than 10 times. So the tonnage is consistent to what it has been, and the traffic that's coming in and out of there has been historically. So it's not changing. I would say that over the last 18 months, it's gotten close to that 99.9%, and 99.9 tons, maybe less than 10 times.
Sounds like we have a delay there for Linda, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think somebody else called in.
We do
Yeah,
have,
do
we do
a
have a
caller?
call. Looks like we do have a call.
So that's
Let's
that's their
table our comments to the caller. And then if the caller can hear me, I'd like you to state your name before you start your comment or questions, please, for our records. Katie, you want?
Harry Harden, Eel River Scrap and Salvage.
Did you get that? Harry Harden from Eel River Scrap and Salvage.
Go ahead, sir. You have
Harry.
the floor. You have the floor, sir.
Harry, did you want to share something?
Yes, I'd like to. I agree what they're talking about as far as the permits. I mean all the plans. I agree with the plans because that's what I had to do when I was there. And I'm planning to do the same thing across the street, a full solid waste permit. And I was wondering, will I have to go through the same plans, or I already have a C&D permit now, but I want to do a full solid waste permit because the reason why I take in travel trailers and motor homes, and they have a substantial amount of garbage in them, and I want to make sure I'm in full permit for
Well,
doing
sir,
that.
we can't address your concern tonight. We have to be on our topic. If you have that question, you need to go into the town hall and talk to either Liz. Is it Liz? You need to talk to you, Liz, right?
Yes,
So you
yes.
need to address that with Liz and not with the planning commission, because we can't address that or make any decisions based on what your needs are. All we can do is give you the floor to discuss the matter on topic, which is Recology's conditional use permit request.
Harry, yeah, you may give me a call and we can meet, or, we can take a look at what your request is. That's in kind of a new topic and not really something that we can answer on the phone that easily. So yeah, give us a call and we'll be happy to look at your site. And, previously it's been in the county, so that would be, it was annexed a couple of years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So it's something that we would be happy to take a look at.
Okay, Liz. I don't have any problems with Recology's. It's the same thing I had to go through when I owned it, and so but I think they would need a little bit more capacity, and I don't have a problem with that. I think that's a good request.
Thank you, Harry.
Yep, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have any more calls, Katie?
No, that was the only one.
Do we want to hang a little bit more, or do we want to move forward with the meeting yet?
I have a question that might drill down in a little more detail as we wait for more folks, to either Linda or others with Recology. You mentioned 10 times it approaching 99 tons. Is that correct?
Yes, over the last 18 months.
Okay, and what do you think averages overall? It's averaging.
We looked at that and it was less than 60 tons if you averaged it over a week period. There's some, it fluctuait's wildly. Like one day we might have 25 tons. Sometimes it depends on if it's a sunny day and people have a 3-day weekend or something like that, where we see that happen. So we try to monitor it and try to keep under that tonnage on a daily basis. We watch for it.
Thank you.
Katie, when the people that came in behind you, was there more than one party, or is it one group?
I believe that was 2 folks that were together.
They were not the individual that called, do you think?
I do not think so. They were both women.
Okay.
How long have we had public comment open?
I did not look at a clock, I'm sorry.
I would say roughly 8 to 9 minutes.
Well,
I say let's give it 2 more minutes and close it.
yeah, I was gonna say we'll give it 10 minutes. Meanwhile, does anybody else have any additional questions of Linda or Nick? Nick
No,
is the
Linda,
environmental
I was-
engineer on this project.
I was gonna ask the question that Mark asked too, so that's all I was wondering.
Okay. Katie, you want to let us know in 10 minutes or up?
I'd say it's been 10 minutes.
Well, then I'll entertain a motion from the commissioners.
I'll make a motion to close public comment.
And I second.
All right, roll call vote. Commissioner Blakely,
Yes,
Vice Chair Bradley,
Yes,
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sights.
Yes.
well, is there any additional questions or comments? I know we've been going back and forth with our guests tonight, but if there isn't, then I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to move that we approve resolution P-2021-3074, which is a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Fortuna approving a conditional use permit amendment for Recology of Eel River to operate a transfer station. That's my motion. Did I state it correctly, staff?
You did.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote. Commissioner Blakely,
yes,
Vice Chair Bradley,
Yes,
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sights.
Yes.
do we have any other staff reports tonight?
Thank you, Linda and Nick.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We appreciate
Thank
you
you.
being here.
We appreciate Recology and the service you bring to our community.
Yes.
we do indeed.
Thank you so much. That feels really good to hear.
Yeah,
We are thankful for being in the community.
We all appreciate what you do.
yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Liz, do we have anything else that you have to report on or discuss with us tonight?
No, I just wanted to point out the schedule for December. So we will be closed that last week. We would normally have a meeting on December 28th. And so we will, take that week off and enjoy your time with your family or whomever. And we will have a meeting on December 14th. So we have at least one or two items that will be scheduled for that date. So hopefully we'll see you then. I don't have anything else. Does anybody have any questions about anything going on around town?
I'm just grateful again for the two of you always having us well prepared for our meetings. It goes
Yeah.
rather quickly and smoothly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree.
We that one, they all are, but that was a collaborative process there was a lot of input and review by city staff, city manager, and the city engineer and others. And and Recology, Nick and Linda were good to work with. So there's a lot of back and forth on the conditions, and then learning about just relearning or learning about the process with the county and the state, and making sure that the city's interests were, taken care of with our conditional use permit. So I think it was a good outcome. I feel good about it.
Well, the only thing I'd like to address, is there any way that one of us could try to work with Mike so that he doesn't have these continuing issues? I'm willing to help you, Mike, if you can hear me, if you want to stop in my office sometime and we
Yeah.
can figure out how to get your Zoom to work. And
Fortuna Audio, we'll give him a tutorial and
there you
fix
go.
it.
You're the better one to do it.
Yeah,
I wanted to say I'm thankful I'm on the planning commission, and I'm thankful for all of you. I just wanted to say that.
Stephanie.
I agree. I'm
Yes, Stephanie.
thankful for the opportunity to serve the community.
Yes, I like it too. Thank you.
Well, again, I'd like to say thank you, and everybody, I want you all to have a wonderful, I'm sorry, Mark, you have something?
No, I second all that you guys are saying, but do we have any candidates for folks joining us as new commissioners? Any word?
No, the city manager's office did put the notice out there. As far as I know, I haven't heard that we've received anything. So I'll follow up with them and have them re-notice it and maybe bring that to the city council as a reminder, to do some soliciting for another planning commissioner.
And then if we think of good citizens, like I tried to recruit someone, but it didn't work out for that person. But we can try to recruit ourselves, correct? Good,
Yes.
Oh,
upstanding,
absolutely. Yes, please do.
qualified individuals.
Well, before we depart, I just want to tell everybody, I hope you all have a joyful and wonderful Thanksgiving, and everybody's safe and enjoying their families this year.
Yeah,
Thank you.
me too.
You
And
too.
at this time, I'm willing to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll
I
make that motion.
second.
Katie?
A vote, Commissioner Blakely,
Yes,
Vice Chair Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sights.
Yes.
Right?
all right,
Thank you,
happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving, y'all.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Hey,
Thanksgiving,
guys.
everybody.
Yes, and
Good
thank you to
night.
city staff. Thank you. Liz Shorey and Katie Schmidt for all your hard work. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
Eat a lot of turkey.